Greetings everyone. Today on Up From Down Here we are checking out Six Flags Over Texas, located between Fort Worth and Dallas. This was actually the first and original Six Flags park, so I'll be interested to find if it's similar to other parks or if it has its own little charm. So let's head on in and check it out. This here is the new Texas Giant, which was the first roller coaster that RMC retracked. Essentially, they take the traditional wooden coaster and they retrack it with steel iBox track on top. If you've ever been on another RMC, this one's probably not quite as forceful, but it is very smooth and it's a fantastic ride. Also, the seats are pretty comfortable and forgiving as far as I could tell, as in the padding kind of moves and stretches with the rider a little bit. So it should be a good ride for most people. It actually doesn't go upside down unlike most of the newer RMCs, but it does have this one overbank corner and it's very enjoyable. Shockwave is an old Schwarzkopf looper and it's actually a pretty fun ride. I sat in the back and there was a ton of ejector airtime back there, and the forces as you're going around the loops are quite intense as well. So I'd say this ride packs more of a punch than you would think, so it's definitely worth hopping on if you get the chance. Runaway Mine Train is an old Arrow Mine Train coaster. While it is closed, it is an ACE coaster landmark, American Coaster Enthusiasts. The Mini Mine Train, however, is open. This here is the newest ride that's going to be opening later in 2023. It is the Aquaman Power Splash. It's a ride built by Mack. It's kind of a spin on the old shoot-the-chute style rides with the big splash, except you're launched. Essentially, you start in the station here. You're going to launch up and down this hill, and then you'll go back and forth. You'll launch again until you hit the max height. And when everything is said and done, in the middle here, water is going to fill in to act essentially as your brake, but also to create a big splash on your last pass through. So it should be pretty cool. They started building this several years ago, so I think it is about time that it finally opens this year. Also note there is some water in there, so I assume they are going to be doing some testing soon if they haven't already. The Six Flags and Texas Railroad is open. Gives you a nice tour around the park with a couple of stops. Mr. Freeze is a launched roller coaster built by Premier Rides. It launches you in the forward direction currently. It actually was launching cars in reverse. They had the train turned around for a while, but now it's back to its original state of launching forward, and then after you launch forward, you now drop backwards and do the whole thing in reverse. This ride is a ton of fun. There's a lot of speed throughout, and it's very enjoyable. You do get a little hang time there, even up at the top of this inversion when you're going backwards. Definitely a fun ride. While they were running 2 trains on most coasters today, this one they are just running 1 train, so it definitely was a bit of a wait to get on it. The oil derrick is a large observation tower. It's not open today, however, it, I imagine, gives you great views of the surrounding area. Superman Tower of Power is an S&S drop tower. They are running one side today because it's not too busy, but at least this side runs a cool cycle where it launches you up, and you also get to experience the drop. I'm not sure if they run all 3 that way, but definitely recommend this side. Additionally, I did get to find out that you do in fact get nice views up there as you would on the oil derrick. But also, that Texas is very, very flat. There's no mountains or anything to see. They do have a speedway here that is open. That coaster in the distance is Titan. It is the tallest roller coaster in Texas, about 245 feet tall. It was manufactured by Givinola. Unfortunately, it is closed today, so we won't get to ride. Roaring Rapids is a whitewater river rapid ride with an awesome sign out front that looks like it normally has water coming down. Pirates of Spelunker Cave is not open today. It is a dark ride with boats. I want to say similar to Pirates of the Caribbean, although that's tough to say for sure since I am not going on it. But fun fact about Six Flags Over Texas, as it was the first park built, allegedly the person who had created it had gone to Disneyland and wanted to make something similar, so I wouldn't be surprised if they had wanted to bring a pirate type attraction here at some point in time. It certainly loads outside, and you can see one of those boats right here. So if you know more about this ride, feel free to post it in the comments so that we know more about it. Over here we got this cool little gardens of sorts with Six Flags Over Texas through the years. It opened in the 60s, and then you can kind of see pictures of main attractions in the background of each of these. And it looks like they're expecting a bright future because there's plenty of room for expansion. Batman the Ride is a B&M inverted coaster. You can ride these at a lot of Six Flags parks. They're fun and forceful. Six Flags Over Texas has this low sensory zone, certainly for folks with autism or really anyone that might enjoy a nice peaceful view. I enjoy coming out here myself. That being said, of course, just be mindful if there are people in this area to keep things low sensory. Their log flume, of course, is closed today as it is January, but they do have one. The Joker is another coaster you can find at a lot of Six Flags parks. It is closed today, but I personally find these enjoyable. You go around on a little ride in spinning cars. While I'm over here talking about closed things, we also have the Harley Quinn Spinsanity, which is a crazy spinning ride that I see broken whenever I see it at a park. And there's a few more rides they have that are pretty common, so I'm just going to cover them now. And that is the Riddler here, which is your frisbee type ride. And then in the distance, you've seen some of these in the other videos, we have our Sky Screamer, the Texas Sky Screamer this time. Judge Roy's Scream is the park's wooden roller coaster. It's 42 years old, as the ride operator will tell you, and it feels like it is 78 years old and hasn't been retracked since it opened because it is aggressive and painful. Even the lift was rough. Pre-lift, I knew it was going to be a rough ride. I was shaking all around, so that was very unfortunate. Six Flags, please retract this. I will say it's probably could be a good family ride if it was smoother. It does only have a 42-inch height requirement, which is nice for a wooden roller coaster. Judge Roy's Scream is also a bit hard to find in the park, as it is literally kind of on the other side of the parking lot, which is in the middle here, and you go under the road to get in. So if you can find your way behind the Sky Screamer, you'll be able to eventually get over here. Just a heads up. The Justice League Battle for Metropolis is an interactive dark ride built by Sally, and it is a world-class, high-quality attraction. It has a mix of animatronics and screens that don't look too dinky, and when you actually shoot stuff in the screen, you can take them out and earn points and try to battle with up to 6 people in each vehicle. It's a ton of fun. I definitely recommend riding these. They are at least a couple of Six Flags parks. And really, it's almost up to the tier of Universal or Disney. Great job, Six Flags, on these attractions, and Sally Corporation, of course. And on your way out, they do have a DC gift shop for all things DC. Runaway Mountain is a premier roller coaster that is located indoors. I presume it's normally in the dark, however, they were running a Christmas light show in there with some rock Christmas music. And that was pretty cool, even though it is mid-January. I guess they keep that going and keep their efforts going for a bit. I'm glad I did get to ride that cycle. The restraints are quite weird on this one. They sit kind of at your chest level, even though they're lap bars. And another note is there is a single rider's entrance off to the right over here, which could be useful, especially as there's only 3 cars per train on this one. I'd recommend hopping on. Nothing too crazy, but my favorite element was definitely this very hard bank turn. It almost felt like we were going upside down about midway through the ride. Six Flags Over Texas has some fantastic theming in what I believe are some of the original themed areas. But unfortunately, once you move on to the newer areas, such as Gotham City, you just get the normal paved midways of Six Flags. So it's really sad that they didn't keep up with the otherwise great theming that this park was originally intended to have when it opened. El Sombrero has got to be the coolest themed Wipeout style ride I've seen. It's a big sombrero. Alright folks, we finally did it. We found something open food-wise that wasn't chicken. Got a couple of street tacos at the Texas Taco Bar. We got a chicken one and a beef one. Both are okay, a bit salty, but for an amusement park, I'll take them. And they sure beat chicken tenders, though chicken tenders are certainly available at the park, don't worry. Six Flags, 3 water bubblers. That don't work. In addition to their usual emporiums, there's a lot of little gift shops here in the park. This one's trying to sell some Christmas merchandise. Get rid of that extra stock, I suppose. You're not gonna believe it. They have a Larson Looper. It's called El Diablo here. Does any Six Flags park not have this? Stay tuned to find out. Conquistador is the park's pirate ship ride, and it's quite nicely themed with the sails up there and the water and fountains. It is in the Spain section of the park, so I'm gonna guess maybe the theme is Spanish galleon. Nothing quite says Texas like some old boot scooting. La Vibora is the park's toboggan coaster. That's right, it might look like a water slide at first glance, but this is an intimate toboggan coaster. You get thrown all over the track. Toboggan coasters aren't affixed to the track, so you can kind of slide all around in a bowl. It is fun. The transitions are pretty rough, being the bottom of the hills and the transitions into the brake run. They're not rides that you see everywhere. Capacity-wise, obviously this ride is very low, as there are single car trains that seat, in theory, up to 6 people if you have an adult and a child in each seat. But the way they were loading it, it was pretty much 2 to 3 people max in a car, so the capacity was lower than even it potentially could have been. This is definitely the longest line we waited in today, at about 35 minutes, whereas every other line was less than 10 minutes. Overall, Six Flags Over Texas would have been one of my favorite Six Flags parks I've ever visited, minus a few things. One certainly being the fact that they had some major coasters closed. It would have been nice to have been able to ride Titan. Also the pirate ride, that pirate boat ride, would have been something cool to see, I think. It also would have been great if they kept up the theming that the park originally had, because there is some beautiful theming that would have literally made this Six Flags a great theme park. The areas where it lacks, the more modern areas, have turned it into just another, Six Flags amusement park with a couple of minorly older themed areas. I would definitely recommend the park if you're in the area. It's still one of the best as far as Six Flags goes. However, I do hope you have better luck with attractions being open than I did. In fact, this is a Six Flags park I would even say it's worth going out of your way to visit. My highlights of the trip were probably riding Freeze and the original RMC, the new Texas Giant. Unlike some of my previous experiences, the app and website were completely wrong as to what was open or closed today. They both, first of all, didn't agree with each other. And secondly, both the website and the app each said different rides were open that were actually closed, and other rides were closed that were actually open. So someone really needs to work on that. It was also good being here in January that the lines weren't very long, so it was easy enough to ride anything multiple times. On that same note, when it comes to the Flash Pass at Six Flags, be careful. I really wouldn't recommend buying a Flash Pass until you actually get to the park and see if it's worth it. For example, the cheapest Fast Pass today was $40, ranging all the way up to $140. And I can't imagine someone spending $140 for literally the same wait time as people who didn't have a Flash Pass. So just be careful, take note of that. Don't automatically assume you need Flash Passes, and that goes for many Six Flags parks, especially if it's the off season. By the way, it may look like I'm filming this at night, and you are correct. It was really mobbed out here trying to come in, so I figured I would do the intro video on my way out.